Okay, now that everybody is seated, you're all most welcome here again to the Hall in Ballymacoda on this very special day in our parish. And today marks the second event of the ceremonies which have been devised and organised by Ballymacoda Ladies Community Council to celebrate the centenary of 1916 Rising. There are at least two others to follow later on, one in the not too distant future and one further out, but more about that anon. I formally welcomed our invited guests here this morning, but there's one other guest has joined us, and that's Councillor Susan McCarthy. So Susan, you're very welcome too as well. It's great to see such a number here on this absolutely dreadful morning, because I think anybody who would have perhaps spoken me over would say, look, this obviously is not going to go ahead, you'll be daft to do so. But thank you for coming and that we're able to proceed with it. The speeches that you would have heard over at the Bally are going to be delivered here now so that we can hear them in comfort and get the maximum benefit from the same. And the first person I want to call upon this morning is the chairman of our local community council, Paul Fearn. Paul is a man who has done sterling work in his role as chairman of the community council, and he certainly has been very much to the fore in the organising and devising of these ceremonies. So please give a warm welcome to Paul Fearn.
John, and thank you all for coming out on such a day, but for such a special occasion. As John mentioned, he welcomed all our invited guests at the Stone itself, down at the Ball Alley, but I'd like to reiterate that welcome. So I welcome Mayor Designate Councillor Aaron O'Sullivan, deputising for the Mayor of all of County Cork, and Councillor Seamus McGrath. Thank you very much for being with us. To Father Kevin Mulcahy and Reverend Canon Peter Rice Thomas, Mr Conor Lenigan, Heritage Officer and Coordinator of Ireland 1916 Initiative Cork County Council. Invited guests, David Stanton, TD, Councillor Michael Hegarty, Margaret Busang, Principal, Kilcready National School, Winchon Theatre representatives, Finbar Motherway and Sean Murphy. Apologies from Councillor Frank O'Flynn, who is the County Chairman of the Commemoration Committee, who wishes our event well, and also Father David, who has a wedding to perform in Ladies Bridge. I want to give you an introduction to this project, and I'll be brief with it. As Chairperson of Ballymacoda Ladies Bridge Community Council, I welcome you all to the community of Ballymacoda to this 1916 Remembrance event. Last February, we accepted a grant from Cork County Council to celebrate, remember and commemorate the events of 1916, and are very thankful to Cork County Council for such support. The coordinator of events to the county is Conor Lenigan, and he's to be with us today, and we thank him for his support. Thanks to our commemorative committee, John Colbert, Frank Kingston, Directors of BLCC, Sandra Burfield, BLCC Ladies Bridge Tidy Towns, and Dennis McCarthy Historical Committee, who together with myself organised events to recall and remember the events of 1916. The large stone used today has been hewn from Ballymacoda quarry. I think that's really significant, and it's donated by Gerard Finn and Roy Rumley. The stone has been expertly carved by Brendan Wallace. And then I wanted to say a piece about why do we remember this day and this 1916. So for some, events of 1916 may seem a matter to be consigned to history. We cannot boast of leaders or participants in the 1916 Rising from this area, at least not that I know of. However, we recognise the vision that led to events at the time. Today, in 2016, we experience a sense of our unique culture and identity. We have many freedoms based in human rights, equality and community. We have health services, environmental protection, education, rural development supports, etc. We have a state that aims to create opportunities and participation and inclusion for all. Today in Ballymacoda, we planted an oak tree in remembrance of all those who gave their lives in the name of Irish freedom. The oak represents strength, protection and longevity. Its seed is small, but its potential is great. The seed of a republic that was sown 100 years ago flourishes still as the people of this island inspire and bring vision to the world based on our unique experience. Finally, we recall and remember there was sacrifice and loss of life. We, the people of Ballymacoda, remember all who died at the Rising in 1916. And with that, I give you back to our MC, John Collins.
Thank you, Paul. I think you set out in context there as to why we are here this morning and the importance and relevance of 1916 to our parish here. And as Paul said, while we may not have had direct participation in that we can't name individuals per se, it certainly has led us to where we are today, to have the country that we have and the democracy that we have. And that, I think, it should not be forgotten. Our second speaker this morning is the Mayor designate for Cork County, and that is Councillor Aaron O'Sullivan. So please give a warm welcome to Councillor Aaron O'Sullivan.
Agus for éine ceúil. Is an orgus for bléide chun bheith an seo a Ballymacoda inniu agus an achtra even seo chun choró a dhéanamh an iargóirí cróga den ceantar seo cé cúig miúna bhana sa bhí néideag séideag ar neamhcéad riú imprúil brought up in Éireann. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, TDs, councillors, it is an honour and a privilege for me to be here today in Ballymacoda at this wonderful event commemorating the brave patriots who took up arms in 1916 in defiance of British imperial rule in this country. These men selflessly put themselves at risk of imprisonment and death for Ireland's cause and were part of a group of visionaries and leaders who sowed the seeds of a nation to not only aspire for freedom, but to actually seek it. It is only right that these men be remembered for the great service they gave to their country, and it is fitting that 100 years on from the 1916 Rising, the tree outside and the stone have been planted in their honour. It is especially symbolic that this tree is being planted next to a stone remembering the brave men of 1798, who also actively sought freedom and no doubt inspired the patriots of 1916. This group could not have been possible, or this event could not have been possible without the hard work and passion of a number of individuals and groups. The work of the Ballymacoda Ladies Bridge Community Council has been exceptional. The work of the Community Council in creating the remembrance space and commemorating the founding fathers of our Republic encapsulates what the organisation is all about, working together as a community for the betterment of the community. I'm also proud to say that the work of Cork County Council in promoting events commemorating 1916 throughout the County of Cork has been immense. Particular credit has to be given to Conor Nelligan, Heritage Officer of Cork County Council, if we all give a clap to Conor, it hasn't failed. Conor's work throughout the county has been exceptional, and Councillor Frank O'Flynn, who is not with us today, as Chairman of the Cork County Council All-Party 1916 Commemorative Committee, and all have worked tirelessly to support all groups in organising their commemorative events. Finally, I would like to say that it's heartwarming to see the number of people in the hall today, despite the bad weather, partaking in today's event. It's fantastic to see such community involvement in the local area and to see pride in our history, which has been recognised here today. Our history is part of what we are and who we are, and therefore it's important that we celebrate and remember it. The more we know about our past, the better prepared we will be for our future.
Thank you, Conor, very much indeed for those very kind words. The next part of our ceremony is to remember all those who partook in the 1916 Rising and who died for the cause or who were associated in any way with it. And this morning we had hoped to have our local curate, Father Kevin, with us, but I think the weather may well have put him off. So we have with us, and we're very pleased to have him here, is Canon Peter Rice Thomas from Ballymacoda. So I would ask him to come forward and lead us with a prayer in remembrance.
Distinguished guests, everybody, try and imagine you're outside, but not literally. Because this was designed to be said outside by the tree and by the plaque. It's very short, and I hope it says something to all of us. May God bless this plaque and this tree planted in remembrance of 1916. May it be a living symbol of courage, hope and vision, as exemplified by that Easter week. And as the years pass by, may its growth, strength and health be reflected in the state it has been planted to commemorate. So we bless this young oak tree, indicative of the past, out of which is born the present, and from which grows the future. In the name of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Ken. I think that certainly did cover everything that we would have wished to have covered this morning. And again, while you weren't at the scene, you did have the stone chair back, so you were The final part of the formalities this morning is the singing of our national anthem. So we are very privileged this morning to have with us here John and Mary Murray, I suppose, who were the ones who volunteered originally to sing it, because we weren't sure whether we would have others or not. So with members of the Ballymacoda Church Choir, accompanied by Cormac Lynch and the Melodeon, please be upstanding for our national anthem, Our Lord in Heaven. That concludes the formal part of our proceedings this morning. We are now going to have some light refreshments, and during those light refreshments, you'll never know, we might get a song or two, or a tune or two, maybe from Cormac and from some of the other singers as well. I'm sure that if with little lubrication, and seeing the days where he's not fit for anything else, we could spend an hour or so here, and maybe when we are finished, we could cross the road to your friend's establishment, and we could add to further enjoyment there. Thank you all very much for being here this morning. Again, Cornel again is the man there at the back who is kind of blending into the background, not to be noticed. He has been a key figure in the projects that we have undertaken, because without his support and commitment and advice, we would not have been able to proceed as we have done, and we thank him very much for that. I suppose just a little bit forward planning to say that the twin half of this project relates to the Manchester Martyrs Monument in Ladies Bridge, and we are going to proceed with an English transcription of those readings or those inscriptions on that stone in the very near future. We're delighted to have Mr. Brendan Wallace here with us this morning, who did our beautiful stone for us in Ballymacoda, and I'm sure he will do an equally good job for us over in Ladies Bridge. And Brendan, you will be paid, don't worry. So I think Paul has a few goodies here for people. So Paul, just again, I'd like to say we also have a number of photographs here which we'll pass around, again showing the stone at various stages of from the time that we got it to today. And we also have a picture of the tree over in Wiley of when we purchased it. The tree came from the Rosewood Garden Centre, and we thank Daniel Leahy again for his support to us and his advice in that regard. So you can see exactly what is there. So Paul, who do you wish to call upon?
I'd like to call on the Mayor Designate, Aaron Sullivan. Of our esteem and thanks. Coordinator of all events in County Cork, and there was over 600 of them, I believe. There was enough. And but for your support of our projects here in Ballymacoda Ladies Bridge, we give you thanks.
Thanks very much, Paul. It's been a phenomenal year here in the County of Cork, and we've had, as Paul mentioned there, close to 600 events now throughout the year in the County of Cork, which is phenomenal. When you look at it on a national scale, we've had about 3,500 events over the course of the year throughout the country, so for Cork to have over close to 600 of those is absolutely testament to groups such as Ballymacoda Ladies Bridge. There's over 200 groups in the county actually working on 16 projects and initiatives, and I think it's really kind of lifted spirits, you know, even despite the weather. You can feel the energy in the room here now, and all the work you've done, the wonderful backdrop and everything. So I suppose just to commend yourselves, Paul, and as I said, look, we've certainly had plenty of emails back and forth and a few calls and that as well. So my first time meeting in the flesh, so I'm delighted for that. So, but just well done to all, and just to the members as well of the Cork County Council. They've been very supportive, and just thank the Deputy Mayor this morning as well for his very nice words. So just well done all, and enjoy this, I suppose.
Thank you so much. I'd like to call on John and Mary Motherway for their participation in this event.
You know, this is more sound because of this. Reverend Rice Thomas. Very much for participating and for your words and your messages. And last but not least, this is quite a token. I have 30 special pencils for the credit school. So if you, Margaret, if you could accept them on behalf of. And to say publish it here.
Thanks very much. It's a lovely thought. Much appreciated.
thanks to you all for coming. Thanks to Paul for thinking of all those things. You know, when you organise an event like this, we look for volunteers to come forward. It's not always easy to find them. So for those who do volunteer, it's a sign of our appreciation. Now that's not saying we don't appreciate the choir. We certainly do as well, but we weren't formally aware that they were with us. So we're going to have the cup of tea, a cup of coffee, and you would never know, we might get Cormac and maybe Andy and maybe a few others to sing two songs for us as the morning goes on. And again, we'll pass down the photographs that are there, just again, as I say, just showing the various progression of the plaque itself and the tree. So thank you all very much for coming.